What if OBSTAGOON was in Gen 1 OU? Now, there's already a lot of competition for normal types in RBY. Well, thankfully, OBSTAGOON here already has a very, very interesting niche, and that's the fact that it's immune to Psychic. Funny enough, though, that's a really good tool to have, but I almost feel like it's more so good because of its stats. I think having a 101 defense while being immune to body slam paralysis, that's what I think Obstagoon's gonna truly shine. Not so much fighting psychic types, but keeping other normal types in check. I think its moveset also has a huge part to play in that. Unlike other normal types that need to rely on body slam for paralysis, Obstagoon here just has Thunder Wave, so it can just cut the middleman and just immediately paralyze something. I think that's a big deal, especially against other normal types. This thing is really good at switching in and having turtles have to respect it, otherwise it can get paralyzed. And along with that, 90 attack is not too far from the bowl itself, and 95 speed is actually Jinx's speed, so it's actually pretty decently fast as well. 93 HP is pretty good for the time. 81 special defense is honestly not that bad bulk-wise. And even 60 is enough to two-shot Rhydon with Blizzard. Most of the time. Not all the time, unfortunately. It's like a 48 to 57%. So just get good and just always hit the damage range. But honestly, I think it's pretty neat, and I think Obstagoon would actually be an OU, even though nothing immediately stands out. I think it's just good at keeping other things in check. And before you ask about its signature move, I'm pretty sure it's bugged and doesn't work like it's supposed to in RBY. Because in Gen 1 custom games, any protect-like move, you're gonna spam indefinitely, without any cooldowns or anything. So I didn't bother looking at it. The last thing I'll say is that the moveset should be pretty standard for normal types. Just, Hyper Beam, a coverage move you have it, and if you have Thunder Wave, obviously you run that most of the time. One thing I will say, Obstagoon does have Body Slam, but I prefer to go with Thunder Wave on this set. I know that Clefable and Wigglytuff in their respective tiers still use Body Slam, but I feel like you just don't really need it. I just kind of disagree with that. I don't really play in UU or NU or PU, any of those lower tiers. But even if other people are using Body Slam, I don't think I would personally use it. Because in RBY, Recall isn't really that bad. Double Edge isn't really doing that much damage. And for the, like you'll see in the replays, the damage ranges never once get messed over because of Double Edge. For example, like one of them will be against Jinx. And Jinx is a Pokemon with low defense and low HP. So Double Edge does a lot of damage, which in turn means that Recall is a little bit more than other Pokemon. But despite that, the Recall never made Blizzard a 2-hit KO. Obstagoon here still survived 2 Blizzards. And I honestly just feel like I know the damage ranges are very similar, so in many cases it doesn't matter. But I just feel like if you already have paralysis, I don't see any reason to fish at 30% beginner's week guaranteed. And the way I see it, Double Edge is just kind of always ensuring you have a high roll with Body Slam. Because a low roll with Double Edge is still a pretty good high roll with Body Slam, So I feel like with a Pokemon like this, where you're as strong as Tauros anyways, I think you just rather have the damage. I think if Wigglytuff and Clefable had, real attack stats, they would maybe consider using Double Edge instead, but could be wrong. I'm not the most knowledgeable in those tiers, like I just said. So don't, take that super seriously. It's just a little, thought I had. Overall, though, Obstagoon, pretty alright. I think it's funny, though, that we're not really talking about its dark typing, which is definitely good, but I think an issue is that outside of Zam, the other psychic types can probably handle it. Starmie, most of the time, will not be using Psychic anyway, so it can just straight up 1v1 OBSTAGOON. And the same can be said for Jinx, who speed ties and has stat Blizzard. Executor, I normally would say, just auto loses. However, Mega Drain's been getting more popular, so with Mega Drain, maybe Stun Spore, those are ways that Executor can maybe 1v1 OBSTAGOON. Not to mention Explosion, as usual, is pretty good. Although, if it was just like double-edged, then yeah, OBSTAGOON would just auto-win. It might be biased from the replay you're about to see, but I feel like it's not too bad, with at least from Executor's point of view. But speaking of which, let's get right into it, because this is a Patreon requested video, so we actually have more replays than normal. So, let's just start with the boy himself. Let's start with Tauros. And obviously, one of your main strengths for this Pokemon is the fact that you do tank Tauros' attacks extremely easily. And Double Edge, as you can see, does pretty good damage. Body Slam's still like a 4-hit KO, and Double Edge is closer to a 3-hit KO. So paralyzing Tauros, yeah, that's really big. And as you can see there, just one full para, and it could have been cooked. Could have been very cooked. Snorlax inherently does a little bit better, because one, it's just naturally bulkier, and two, since it has more HP, it does mean that, you have more to lose. But look at that, actually. So that was a Snorlax with... Oh, I don't even remember how much base HP it has. But Snorlax lost 50% of its HP, and you only took 17 recoil. And that 17 recoil wasn't even enough for a critical body slam on Snorlax to kill OBSTAGOON. We're already at the second replay, and I hope this already shows that just... recoil itself is just not an issue whatsoever. So I really don't see any reason why you won't just go for higher damage ranges. It just helps you get KOs, in general. Quite frankly, you're just a coward if you're scared of recoil. But maybe not. If there's one Pokemon where recoil could matter, it would be Chansey. But at the same time, that was only 20%, and you already do a third. It doesn't even matter. Because without a crit, or with the crit, Chansey's just kind of screwed. But Double Edge is already a 3-hit KO. Body Slam, I think, is, high ranges are on the same, but why wouldn't you just have it be more consistent? Let's keep going, and this time we're going to Zam, who can't do anything, really. It also doesn't help that, thanks to having high HP, it's not like Science Spectos is going to get good chip in. Now, unfortunately, Body Slam and Double Edge, still kind of the same there. I didn't post them in this video, but I made an extra replay where I tested out Body Slam and Double Edge, and I believe Double Edge got a low roll and Body Slam got a high roll, so they're around the same. So I don't think it's actually a guarantee to a KO on Zam. I think sometimes it does end up with 51 HP or stuff like that. But it doesn't matter too much. If Zam is paralyzed and can't even use Psychic, it's not facing a bulky normal type whatsoever. Cloyster probably is, though. Now, the main benefit here is the one that, one, honestly, that Blizzard, it's so kind of hurts, but, could be worse. But more importantly, it's just the fact that you can paralyze Cloyster. Cloyster can always rest, but forcing Cloyster to rest, just inherently gives Tauros more to work with. Making Cloyster have to work harder in the mid-game makes it easier for Tauros to sweep in the late game. And that's the other thing. Since you do switch into Psychic so well, which already make Zam less of a threat, even though OBSTAGOON is great at, I guess you could say, checking other Tauros, it's also a great partner as well. Making OBSTAGOON just very good all around, depending on how you use it. And here's the Executor replay. Now, Thunder Wave pretty good, Stun Spore is also pretty good, and obviously avoid Sweet Powder if you can. Although I will say, with you being a normal Dark type with good physical bulk, you're honestly not one of the worst things to, use it as a sweep pivot. It's very easy to switch OBSTAGOON in, get free turns, tank a few things, and wake up. And with 95 speed, it's also pretty fast as well. So, I think because of that, actually, I think I had Executor and could go either way, but I think I'm going to switch to the good matchups now. Because, yeah, that looked pretty good. What didn't, though, was Gengar, and you're about to see why. You only have Blizzard that we hit it with, so honestly, maybe don't even bother going with... Actually, no, you still bother with Thunder Wave, because the Paralyzed Gengar is basically good as dead. So, like, even if the Obstagoon is taken out right here, with Gengar Paralyzed, you Sentry took it out. So, the match is still unwinnable, but, you know, it's a fair trade. And then Jolteon, the UU allegations are calling, and you're doing pretty well here. You got a crit. That's a 2-hit KO. And Double Edge, with, I think that's a low roll. Like, it's able to 2-hit KO fine. But man, that 1 and 256, the pressure is getting to you. You're probably going to fall to OU next time. I mean, UU, you know what I mean. Let's just keep moving. And now we have Jinx. Yeah, with Speed Tie, but thankfully with Blizzard, or Blizzard not only doing, sorry, I cannot talk for the life of me. With Blizzard only being a 3-hit KO, you're probably going to survive in order to hit a Thunder Wave. So the Speed Tie is annoying, but outside of that, you could probably handle the matchup, but it's still very risky. And then right on. Just pretty simple. You just get the damage range, alright? Don't hit 48%. And don't miss Blizzard like you see there. As long as those things happen, you can beat this match no problem. Although if you do want to get a low roll, at the bare minimum, at least crit, I think that will help you out a lot. Now, I think Slowpoke's pretty interesting, because with Paralysis, this is surprisingly pretty even fight. Despite the high defense, Double Edge is actually a 4-hit KO, which means the Obstagoon is able to apply pressure with crits, and kind of makes Slowbro need to rest. So, yeah, that's one way to look at this. Slowbro is going to rest there, which gives you a chance to get the 4-hit KO or get a crit with 2-hit KO. And when Swellbar wakes up, you can apply Thunder Wave again. Now, Obstagoon got a little unlucky here and gets killed with Surf. But still, this is far from unwinnable. And I'd say Obstagoon has a better chance at beating Swellbar than Tauros does. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And maybe this Starmie replay is not very genuine, because Starmie just gets very bad luck, but at the same time, look at that damage range there. Double Edge is already a 2-hit KO. So yeah, you die to a crit, but at the same time, Starmie should respect that anyways. And you've seen how it is with a Stab Blizzard on Jinx. If that's only a 3-hit KO on Obstagoon, Obstagoon's not going to suffer too much from a Blizzard, Surf, or Thunderbolt. And those are the main things you have to worry about, because you're immune to Psychic. And then the Bell. Both of you paralyze each other. So I think this is more so just a case of just whoever wins with Paralysis. Sunspore is annoying, but also it's less accurate than Thunder Wave, so that definitely gives you an advantage. But, it's anyone's game, in my opinion. Obviously, Obstagoon does have the better damage ranges, though, with its moves, so more consistent, but it's meh. Now, last but not least, when it comes to the regular replays, and we got Zapdos. Unfortunately, this one you just really struggle against. You can always win with crits or good paralysis luck, but the damage range is just not there. 30% is just not a much when Zapdos is threatening you this much offensively. Now, considering like I said, this is a Patreon video requested by Plausible, I added 3 more replays of 3 different Pokemon that I think are interesting to talk about. If you're interested in having, like, a once a month video of any topic you want, I cannot talk right now, I'm sorry. In the link in the description, I have a Patreon. Not only do you get to, like, have a Pokemon guaranteed once a month, but also, like, it's with, like, all of the Pokemon in the OU tier, as well as the ones I recently dropped, as well as 3 extra ones. Because now that Slowbro and Victreebel and, like, fell, I don't feel obligated to always include them. And sometimes it was, like, an electric type. I'd sometimes don't bother you showing them for, like, ground type videos, stuff like that. But I always try to have, like, the extra stuff, you know, for Patreon. I also have a Discord that you should totally join. We have a Minecraft server right now that's been super successful, with like at least 20 people joining already, and I hope to see you there. But now let's keep going on. And now we have Eradicate, which I feel like could be a pretty fun one, especially since it's kind of normal, like rivalry. Like I don't know, it's more so because of like ties to Noon, if anything. So obviously, Eradicate had a evolution. I'd show that instead, but hey, I think Zigzagoon's better than Rattata anyways. So beating Eradicate pretty easy, pretty based. The time for real normal competition in Kangaskhan. If you're using a third physically bulky normal type, it's probably Kangaskhan. But here, your high defense set comes in really handy. It makes it to where Kangaskhan is having a really bad time against you. Not too much they can really do. Obstagoon can tank those hits very easily. And last but not least, we're actually going to go over Mewtwo. This is going to be a Mewtwo set that specifically only has Ice Beam as an attacking move. Now, for this set, it should have Barrier for the last attack, but it doesn't. It's only 3 moves with Recover, Thunder Wave, and Ice Beam. But it still doesn't matter. A critical double edge seems pretty good, and full paralysis and Hyper Beam. But no, it's still not enough. Mewtwo is tanky enough to tank that easily. It can recover, and then Obstagoon really can't do that much. So Mewtwo just kind of wins. Although, at the very least, paralyzing Mewtwo is very annoying. And paralyzing Mewtwo is pretty good. There's a reason why some Mewtwo sets are doing that. And in general, Ubers has changed a lot in the past few years. So it's not like Amnesia and like Psychic are like the most important things anyways. You are definitely cutting those on a lot of teams. So in many ways, Obstagoon's immunity to Psychic becomes even less relevant. But here is the tier list, and I guess I already had that in good. But this I can probably change to good. I think everything else is fine, though, where it is. But yeah, Obstagoon, a pretty good Pokemon. And one that I think would stay in OU. And it's probably the only tier where it's in OU. Maybe in Generation 2, but I think it's very unlikely. What do you think? Do you think Obstagoon will be OU material? If not, please explain why in the comments below. But until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.